Welcome to this watch review video. My name is Alvin, aka the Theowrist. I will be giving a detailed hands-on review of my Tudor Black Bay Burgundy Bezel. Reference, wait for it. M for Mystery 7941. A for Acrobat 1. A for Accident 0. R for Robots. U for Umbilical Cord -0003. It is a premium dive watch that is one of the most popular models produced by Tudor in its various guises and iterations and colours. It's a good one. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I unbox and review my own watches and share the odd random thought from time to time. I've been doing the same on my blog for the last few years. Check it out, link is below. In this video, I will cover my purchase, the design and build quality, on-wrist experience, competition, value for money, and then some final thoughts. But we'll start with a quick history of this watch model, the Black Bay range. Will we be covering the fact that Tudor is basically a Rolex? Yep, basically. It's a Rolex. All right, calm down. I'm only joking. It's actually better than Rolex. Ooh, I'll leave that there. And I'll just leave it. A very quick history then. So Rolex, as we know, we can't avoid saying the name if you're talking about Tudor. The founder of Tudor was Hans Wilsdorf. He registered the Tudor brand trademark in 1926, just a few years after I was born, and began running the Tudor company as a subsidiary brand of Rolex in 1946. Now, the Black Bay finds its roots in the Tudor Submariner, reference 7922. That's a 1954 model in which you can see the hybrid incest baby design. It's there. You can see the design language coming through, the case shape. No crown guard, but then you've got the Mercedes hands and some other features, the dial markers that match up. The name itself, Black Bay, is fictional. It came from a hidden cove, like the idea of hidden depths and that kind of thing, I think. Sounds about right. If it's made up, could be a tree, like a burnt bay leaf tree or something like that, but I don't think that applies in this case. I'll move on. I think a big deviation, the main thing that changed was the hands, and the hands went snowflake in 1969 with a reference 7016. And that's when it kind of started to gain its own identity a little bit. Still called the Submariner, but it was moving away from Rolex. And then in 2012, Tudor launched the Heritage Black Bay, I think. It was the reference 79220R. That relaunched the Black Bay collection, and from there came numerous iterations over the last 13 years that have been jumping between materials and bezel color, but keeping the underlying design and vibe the same, and we love that vibe. We're vibing with it. Purchase. This is the first watch I purchased at an AD, and it was the biggest mistake of my life and got me hooked in at the deep end, and I've ruined everything by just buying watches at the AD. The lady at the AD is very nice, but she's pushing the Tudors on me. She ain't giving me no Rolexes except for the Explorer, which I didn't really want anyway, but that's fine. That's, you know, her job maybe. They got no Rolexes except for the gold ones in the window, and I don't live that close, so I can't just pop in every day and see what's available, which does suck a little bit because I think I might run into some deals. Anyway, I think it's an experience that any unhinged and irrational watch fan has to get involved in. If they're at their level, at some point you'll get involved and hopefully you'll have a good experience and you'll get the watches you want. In this case, I went in for this watch specifically. I wanted the Jubilee. They didn't have it, but they did have it on the regular bracelet. So I actually ended up, after a couple of days thinking about it, gave her a call and I'll take that one. And then she mentioned that I could order the Jubilee bracelet separately. Me being quite enthusiastic and eager to please at the time, I ordered it, and it was stupid expensive, and I don't regret it because it's been on the watch ever since I got it. But it was, I can't even say it. I feel ashamed of myself. I'm just putting it on the screen, okay. Anyway, so I think that waiting for the Jubilee, I think it was a month or two, then it kind of extended the dopamine hit. You know, there was something still going on to look forward to. And this was in spring 2023, I think in June maybe. So it's been 2 years on the wrist for this one, and it has gotten plenty of wear. So as the model was new and I was new to the AD, I did get a bottle of champagne, but I didn't get an additional discount, which is fine. I was a new guy, that's cool. And the watch was new, so it was £3,920. How much? That's all good. Design and build quality. It's a classic Tudor Black Bay, but it's the sexiest one in my opinion. The gold accents against the black, complementing the red bezel that just sets it off. And on the Jubilee, it just fancies it all up a bit and makes it a statement piece. For me, it's the best looking Black Bay of all time. I like it a lot. And I'm starting to come around to calling it Burgundy, even though it's kind of a bright burgundy. Burgundy to me was always a reddish purple colour, and this isn't quite that. Yeah, it's just not a very sexy colour, is it? It's burgundy. Burgundy is wine, all right? I call it the triple B sometimes, and we'll go with that. It's got the classic design elements that came in 2012 and that run through the whole timeline in terms of the markers and the snowflake hand. And it's not a very bold piece in terms of size, but the good thing about this model is that you can tailor it to the kind of watch you want. It comes in so many different colours and iterations that it's just a very cool flagship model. So this one is 41 millimeters, which is a good size. 39 is better on the Black Bay Pro, but it's okay. It's not as thick at 13 millimeters, I think this is. It's got that controversial in-house manufacture caliber MT5602 70-hour power reserve, which, while I always think higher numbers are better, and it's good, on the Quartz Crisis channel, I've forgotten what the chap's name is, Ukrainian chap, he's very cool and he's onto the vintage vibes, but he mentioned that, which is pretty obvious when you think about it, but it's just something I wasn't that fussed about, I guess. When you've got more watches, having a higher power reserve isn't necessarily a good thing, because in rotation, you won't wear the watch the next day likely, and therefore it's just sitting there running for 2 days when it didn't have to be. So that is unnecessary wear and tear, which is an excellent point and something to consider. So if you have a single watch or are going for a new watch and it's your main watch, then high power reserve is cool. Otherwise, you shouldn't be too fussed about it. And I'll have to agree with that with all my watches, that makes 100% sense for me. Anyway, that was a tangent. Another issue that some people have that's been brought to my attention since starting up this YouTube side of the Theowrist, that some people have an issue with Hodinkee, the Tudor watch movement manufacturer. Simply, the issue is that they're manufacturing movements for other brands, including Breitling, that use exactly the same movement and call it something different. Some people take issue with this. They say that it shouldn't be called in-house if other brands are using the same movement, even if they change the model name or whatever. They're not changing anything else other than a bit of decoration. I get that consideration. I'm not going to go into this too much, but there's certainly some ambiguous language in there and the potential for jiggery pokery. There is a benefit to the in-house manufacturer. It keeps the costs down, and getting these watches for under the £4,000 mark or around there is pretty cool. Others will disagree. Now, there are some other cool design features that I like about this. The bezel grip and the crown grip are quite aggressively spiky, especially the crown, which is signed with the Tudor rose. Yeah, this adds a bit of literal edginess, but also edginess to the design. Also, to the accents around the markers and the hands, the second hand. It is a nice look. It gives it a little bit of flashiness, and it complements the gold of the text on the dial and the hour, minute markers. My only issue with, this is a bit of a controversial view maybe, and a bit elitist possibly, but I believe that gold isn't a colour, that it's a material, and that they shouldn't use gold unless it's real gold. You know, if there's a bit of gold-coloured metal on a Casio for 20, 30 quid, that kind of thing, then I'm not against it. But when it's on a more premium watch, the introduction of gold suggests that potentially that it's real gold, and I don't like it. I don't like where that sits. It doesn't sit right with me, which is a bit silly of me, but it's just what I want to see. It's what I want on my watch. I want it to be real. I don't want it to be something else other than gold when its colour is gold. Gold plated is fine, gold cap is fine, which Tudor use on the S&G Black Bay. And I know when there's such small components and things, maybe they don't want to do that. And if you add all the gold up, if they added that, they would put the price up. But maybe they should do a model like that, and they should change the colour to silver on these. I don't know. You know, I like the gold. But I'm confused about this. Right. It is just a nice package. I think I would have liked, the glass has got a little bit of a dome to it. But I would have liked to see a bit of design on the chapter ring, like Rolex has, and like Tudor has done with the recent Pelagos. There's a bit of writing on there, the Red Bull stuff. And yeah, I think that would just set it off a bit more. Right, I've had this on the wrist for 2 years, and I've worn it quite a lot. I will go as far as saying that it is my most worn watch in the last 2 years. Definitely in the first year that I had it. I was wearing it all the time, and I still do quite regularly. It's just a good piece. It's very versatile. It's solid, and I love it. I have heard people on some of these podcasts and the YouTube channels having issues with reliability, which is really surprising, and it's unfortunate. But it's another reason why the Tudor manufacturer gets a bit of stick, I guess. But I'm glad I haven't had any issues, and hopefully that continues. The 5-year manufacturer warranty does make you feel better, but they do sometimes take ages fixing things, or they can be picky about it. So hopefully no issues. But it's the reason I just bought the Black Bay Pro, because I had such a great experience with this one. So, that's how it works. They have a certain degree of my trust. The Jubilee bracelet is really nicely made, feels solid, it looks good. I haven't had any issues with it. It doesn't make noises. The T-fit clasp is very nice and smooth. You do hear some stories and complaints about the quality of Tudor bracelets. Ooh, they're made in China, etc., etc. Sure, they could be, but made in China doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. This is a cracker of a watch in terms of design and build quality. Listen to the bezel. I don't usually do this, but I'm going to do it because this bezel sounds so nice. Listen! Slow. Overall, then, this is robust, versatile, a timeless package. It's flashy enough. You can dress it down if you change a strap. It's just a banger. On wrist experience. I've just covered a lot of this in the last section, so I won't go on too long because that was way too long. But anyway, I can just wax lyrical about this watch. That's why. I have worn this a lot, like I said. Over the last 2 years, it has been my most worn watch. You can see it's got a fair bit of wear on it, but I do try and take care of it. Obviously, accidents do happen, but I'm not too precious with it at all, and I think that's one of the joys of Tudor in general as well, and especially if you get a pre-owned one. Would I change the bracelet, I hear you ask, back to the regular one? Maybe, but I think I'd probably go for a black NATO or something like that to change it up even more, and that would really make it quite chilled out. And I wouldn't do it myself. I don't think I could do it without scratching things up, and often on my less expensive watches I'll just do it and I don't really care, but in this case I would like somebody who knows what they're doing to do it. I don't have any straps actually. This is a 21mm lug width, so I don't have too many watches like that. Well, actually I do. I have a few watches. The other Tudor, the Cartier, but I don't have that many 21mm straps, so I don't have the urge to change it over. So generally wearing this, I wear it all over the place and with t-shirts and whatever. There are a few places, the bigger cities I don't wear flashy watches to, and this, even though it's not that pricey, but somebody could still earn a couple of grand in 5 minutes if they pop their machete out, so I'd just rather not invite that kind of attention, because it does say look at me at times. And it fits well on the sub 17cm skinny ass bitch ass wrist. No drama at all with the lug-to-lug though. It is touching 49mm, I think, but in this combination with the Jubilee, the way the bracelet falls onto the wrist and the end link that doesn't protrude past the lug-to-lug, it falls down. I think the smaller bracelet links as well are more forgiving and they'll hug the wrist more easily. It's just a joy for me to wear. Really, I should take another little link out, but I'm not gonna because that hurts my feelings. You get the idea. I like it. I like it a lot. Competition. In the collection, I guess I have a couple that I would call competition in terms of competing for wrist time, or if I'm going somewhere that I want to look a little bit fancy but not too fancy. I think the Zenith El Primero Synopsis goes up against this because it's not a diver, but I'm not going diving in this. This is like a chillin' piece, so but with a bit of an element of flash, and the Zenith definitely has that. And in the pre-owned market, they're definitely similar, around the 3 gram mark, which is great for a Zenith. Think about it. That's a great watch, but it's different enough from this to have like 2 fancy sporty standout pieces. It's quite nice. I think in terms of a colourful bezel, the SKX 009 Seiko is a very cool piece as well. Obviously a bit more understated, but it's a diver with some nice design elements and a bit of a pop of colour. It's a legend as well. So yeah, those in collection competition pieces, I think. In terms of Tudor, they've just got so many variations in their Tudor stable at 41mm and, well, at 43 as well and 39, that it's just a crazy amount of choice that you have. I love that they do different materials, ceramic, bronze, titanium, although the titanium's a Pelagos, but still. It is, when you think about buying a Tudor Black Bay, you're probably looking at Pelagos as well. So, there's flashier versions, steel and gold, the new glossy burgundy, very nice. And then you've got the more low-key versions. I mentioned the ceramic and the bezel colour variations. The older model, well, there's Black Bay 68 now as well, isn't there? It's got the blue bezel, and the Harrods version has the green in the 41mm case. So it's just a whole bunch of stuff going on there. And part of me just wants to buy all the variations of all these different watches. And the pre-owned market makes it quite tempting to do that. I think if I had money to burn, that would happen. The wider market, I suppose, you've got Omega Seamasters and Aquaterras, you've got Longines Zulu, which is a banger of a watch in its various guises. So yeah, the Zulu I think is direct competition. Tag have got a few, but their prices are a bit higher. The glass box lots are a couple of grand more, but yeah, some cool watches in that price range from 3 to 6 grand, maybe we'd call it. And then a bunch of micro brands and the rest of it. There's loads going on there in terms of dive watches at that price range. But I don't know if the Black Bay is a real dive watch or not. While it has the credentials and the METAS certification, if you're a real diver, you're not wearing one of these. I'm going to say. I don't know any real divers, so, let me know. If you've been diving in your Black Bay, stick it in the comments. Even if you've just been swimming or have washed the dishes with your Black Bay on, let me know in the comments below. How has it fared in wet conditions? If you've been out in the rain, if it got wet in any way, if it's been soaked or squirted on by any kind of liquid, just let me know in comments below. And on that note, we'll move on. Value for money. Like I was saying, I think in the pre-owned market, these watches are bangers. For like under 3 grand, you can get a really nicely made, really good looking, well-regarded, fancy watch. But I think that at 4 grand on the Jubilee, it's 4 and a bit. Yeah, I think that's a bit much, but I don't think I overpaid as such. Yeah, I definitely did when you include the bracelet, but some of the other watches out there for 4 grand, I think this holds up to them. I think as well, if you're really concerned about the Swiss-made element that I was on about earlier, I think then in the pre-owned market, if you can get one for 3 grand at a good price, I think that is a decent value proposition and you get your money's worth. It's premium goodness. You feel good about getting the deal. You feel good that you've got a great watch on your wrist and you're signaling out to people that you're a cool dude. And it's win-win. People who don't like watches will like it. People who love watches might also like it. I can't remember which channel it was, but somebody said that Tudors hold their value, and that was just plain wrong. They do not hold their value, but that is a good thing in a way. And also, it's a positive in relation to the dichotomy with Rolex. Rolexes often go up, are overpriced and are unavailable. Even when the prices are under retail, they're still too expensive. In this case, Tudors maybe aren't too expensive to buy. So the Black Bay Pro came in at 3.5 for me, which I think a good deal. And in line with that, you're getting a good package for the money in the pre-owned market, and even brand new. If you can get a bit of a discount, that helps. Maybe this was Hans Wilsdorf's plan all along. He's a clever guy, that Hans. I wonder if he's still alive, hanging out with Tupac and Biggie Smalls and Elvis. He's that kind of character. I feel like he might be. In other words, he's a legend. He still runs the foundation from behind the scenes. I'm going to dig into this a bit more. I'll get back to you. Well then, final thoughts. The Tudor BB, or the Tudor Black Bay Burgundy Bezel, is a winner overall. I have thoroughly enjoyed owning and wearing this watch, and I hope to continue to be able to do so. I'm very glad that the thinning of the wrist hasn't affected the wearing of this watch too much, at least not to the point of unwearability. It is close though, and that does my head in. While I may never go diving in this dive watch, it is just a very cool everyday wear, and it translates into evening, and you can wear it with a suit or with your t-shirt. It's versatile. It's a little bit flashy, but not too flashy. Tudor is making waves at the moment. I'm a fan. They have been for the last few years. Unapologetic with their designs, their work, their case sizes, the thing they do in the scene, the sponsorship and the videos they make. They just do things their own way. Their manufacturing side is a little controversial, but it's just what they're doing, and I can't complain about it too much because I have enjoyed the fruits of their labour. And to be honest, the technicalities of in-house and out-house and such like don't really bother me that much. If I'm going to buy a watch, it's going to be on all of its merits, but primarily on the look and the reliability and the value proposition. And Tudor has all of that in bags, and like I said, in general, the pre-owned Tudor market is just a horological wonderland where you can find all kinds of great deals. I'm not sure if I'll buy another new Tudor, but maybe I will, maybe I won't. We'll see what the future holds. For now though, I'm going to continue enjoying the Black Bay Burgundy Bezel and the Black Bay Pro. That's it then for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, comment, and all the good stuff. Let me know what you think of this watch and Tudor in general, and I will catch you on the next one. Have a good one.